why I couldn't read or write correctly. And certainly the nuns, not being teachers, but being more religious people, didn't quite understand either. It wasn't until junior high school that I really taught myself how to read correctly and how to position it correctly, the words and letters correctly. Like I said, when I was in ninth grade, I wanted to take Latin because I wanted to be a doctor. I remember going to my guidance counselor and telling her what my plans were for the future for high school, that I wanted to take an academic course, where she advised me to go into a blue-collar position like my dad and become a skilled laborer or a laborer. And I said, that's not what I choose to do. And she goes, well, what would you like to do? I said, I truly, in my heart, I want to be a doctor. And to this day, I remember her removing her glasses and saying to me, Michael, with your grades, you will never be a doctor. And you would think back and you would think that would fill me with antagonism and hatred and disdain. But actually, Mrs. Aronson was emboldened me to be who I was and what I would ultimately become. So I thank her for everything she's ever done for me. Because without that guidance and telling me that I couldn't, my goal was to prove her wrong and show that I could do it. I remember coming home that day and my father says, how was school today? And looking at him, and I just put my head down. He looked at me and goes, what's wrong? And I started to cry. I had tears in my eyes. And he says, what's wrong? I says, well, I went to see the guidance counselor today. He says, yes. And I told her that I wanted to take Latin, that I wanted to be a doctor. And what did she say? She said that I should go into a trade like you, Dad, and like Grandpa. And he goes, is that what you want to do? I went, no, I want to be a doctor. You know that. He says, well, let me ask you a question. And I said, sure. He goes, why are you crying? And I said, because you told me I couldn't be a doctor. I should go into a trade. Not that that was wrong, but that's not what I wanted to do. He says, the reason why you're crying is because you believe her. He says, and when you stand for yourself and believe in yourself, you'll accomplish what you want. That rang true, and I've always lived by that. It got me through the Navy. It got me through very difficult Navy SEAL training. It got me through medical school, 2 professional schools, medical school and chiropractic school, and it made me who I am today, both Mrs. Aronson and my dad, and the subsequent people that I've followed in my life who are very, very positive, that you can accomplish anything you want if you set your mind to it. Remain positive, stay steadfast, and things will happen. Don't ever give up and persevere always. That's what I tell my boys, my sons. Hello, this is Dr. Michael Gallagher again, talking a little bit about what I do for a living. Currently, I'm Vice President and Global Head of Medical Affairs for Kendall International, which is a CRO, which stands for Contract Research Organization. We partner with major pharmaceutical companies to conduct clinical trials worldwide for innovative and new medicines that will help people in a varying degree and array of specialties: oncology, gastroenterology, transplant, cardiovascular. I've been involved in this for the last 12 years and have held varying levels of responsibility in several different companies. This is an opportunity to help people at the cutting edge of medicine to be able to explore what doctors will be treating their patients with in the future, and hopefully what will be changing people's lives in the form of allopathic and medicinal products that are available to all of us. I became involved in this, like I said, 12 years ago. It's been a tremendous journey, and some drugs that we've brought to market have really, really benefited people. Obviously, as new regulations occur every year, the FDA keeps up with this. Some of the challenges we have is the medications that we develop. It takes billions of dollars, millions and millions of dollars to develop these medications. Some of the information we have is only short term and maybe only a year or 2 years out. Absolutely more information and more regulatory processes needed to guide this process so that the efficacy of the drugs that we use and that we develop can help people in the long term, not just the short term. Hello, this is Dr. Michael Gallagher. I want to talk about my previous background in the military and Special Forces, Navy SEAL. I was a corpsman, a medic with Team 2 in Coronado, California. Our training was intense. It was taught never to give up. Winners profit, losers never win. I've carried that motto through my whole life. And yes, it was physical. It was intensely physical. But more than being physical, it was exceptionally emotional. You're brought to a breaking point in your mind where it's either you give up and you relinquish